From the time when Aryan entered Tamil Nadu, the Dravidian ideology against it also appears here. Social justice has started to take root in this land when the seers say human justice. Anti-Aryanism is widespread throughout history, beginning with Buddha's doctrine of renunciation and growing into all life born by Thiruvalluvar. It is only in Tamil Nadu that the fire of Dravidian doctrine continues unabated. From Thirumul's anti-Aryanism to the Siddhas to their hand-wringing lamentations against the seers. Just as the Indus Valley civilization data is scattered in the Rig Veda, the Arya Dravidian struggle is also scattered throughout the history of Tamil Nadu. Today's self-righteousness, rationalism, anti-Brahmanism and denial of God are just another political form of Arya Dravidian struggle. Nothing new has fallen from the sky. The war started by Buddha travelling through Thiruvalluvar, Tirumular, Siddhas, Attipakam comes through Venkatachala Nayakar, whose book called Hindu Dharma Abhasa Darshini is a book that spits out Vedic garbage and obscene stories of gods. As the Arya Dravidian war intensified, it travelled through Ayodhya Pandita. Ayodhya Dasa Pandita's journal Dravida Pandian openly declared that we are not Hindus. He also founded the Dravida Mahajana Sabha and became the father and son of today's Dravidian organizations. Periyar is finally coming in the long history of Arya Dravidian struggle. In the 2000 years of religious, caste, opposition history, many people have been killed, many people have been deified, many people have been scorned as monsters and giants. But in this, only Periyar stands out as a standout, untouchable by his enemies. Periyar is the most celebrated and the most hated person in the last 2 centuries. The reason is that Periyar made the people pacify the anti-Brahmanism. The government mesmerized and not only propelled people into the next scientific century. He did not stop the anti-Brahmanism merely theoretically, but questioned and ridiculed everything that was interwoven with it. Art, culture, history, literature and fruit pride. Father Periyar realized that only by looking at things rationally can one understand the scheming and its web. And to understand it, it is necessary to first educate the people and economy. He used all his power for that. Yes, he established a government for the education of Tamilians that is called the Kamaraj government. Rajaji, the chief minister of that day, realized that if the Tamilians get education, they will get knowledge and then they will have to lose a strong monopoly of job opportunities, power and politics. So he pulled down and closed various schools which deprived the people of the rural areas of education from the downtrodden, backward and oppressed sections. It is interesting to note that all these rural schools were brought up for the working people under the Justice Party regime. Apart from that, in order to take away the education of the Tamil people studying in urban areas, Rajaji announced the education program according to which half-day education and the rest half-day they are trained in their family business. Since then, no one has seen Periyar's anger, but on that particular day, everyone got to witness it. It is falsely taught to the youth that today anyone is hero in history. In fact, no one in history has seen a hero like Periyar in 2000 years. Periyar was shocked to see Rajaji's trick. So he broke out across Tamil Nadu. The barbarians who opposed Periyar as much as possible tried to divert the problem by writing something with their press power. An enraged Father Periyar gave an announcement, and only one announcement, that the Brahmins were diverting the struggle for the right to life of 95% of the people. The Brahmins, who till then had concentrated the entire power of India in themselves, the Brahmins, who were afraid that they, the upper castes, could not do anything to us, screamed. Yes, to end this struggle, Periyar gave an announcement. Comrades, bring the matchbox and keep it in your hand. I will mark a day and light the entire Agraharam on that day. He gave only one announcement. Periyar's valiant struggle against clan education caught fire all over Tamil Nadu. Unable to face Periyar's great fire of protest, Rajaji went to Delhi and went into hiding. And this declaration of Periyar, Tamilians were not only humiliated and oppressed, that they can walk even if sheep and goats walk in the mud, but Tamilians are not allowed to walk on the Agrahara streets. Hearing this announcement of Periyar, the people were happy and excited, and the working people on the Agrahara streets, which had been banned because of untouchability, kept a matchbox in one hand and a can of kerosene on their head and walked cross-legged on the Agrahara streets. That's all. The residents of Agraharam started screaming as if their beards were on fire. Rajaji, who was hiding in Delhi, unable to face Periyar's battle line, was telegraphed by his seers. We believed that you are the protector of our race, but you have decided to sacrifice us. Immediately find a solution to this. the seers scolded him that they could not keep their children and stay in peace at home. Unable to protect his race from the black shirts, Rajaji, who was hailed as a sage of the day, resigned as chief minister from Delhi. The fight against the caste education is not an easy fight at all, and Rajaji is not one to be underestimated. He, who was called the protector of the Brahmins and was celebrated by the Brahmins as a sage, and who was related by marriage in the family of Gandhi, who was the god of India, income Emperor Rajagopalacharya, who never left any post from the post of Panchayat Board to the post of president, who exerted his personality in all of them and was described as the brain of the whole body, touched the soil for the first time in his life. Periyar did not remain idle and said that the struggle against clan education, which removed Rajaji from ruling power, was successful. The struggle is multi-pronged and takes many forms. Periyar changed his form of struggle and resumed. He decided to use the factions and infighting in the Congress that day to his advantage. He also decided that Kamaraj was the right person to find out who would come to power next in line with his ideals. Periyar immediately met Kamaraj and asked him to stand in Gudiyatham by election, and he will make him win. Kamaraj said, "How can I win? My constituency is entirely different, and none of them are my caste supporters in Gudiyatham." Kamaraj worriedly posed the question that how can I stand there and succeed? "Don't worry about it, it's our responsibility. Leave it to us and we will take care of it," said Father Periyar. Hearing this, Kamaraj took a half-hearted farewell. While these talks were going on one side, the work for the by-elections in Gudiyatham started at a fast pace. Gudiyatham Govindan was an interesting and vibrant person among the possible comrades in Gudiyatham. He is very active. He stops everyone who comes and goes on the road and inquires about their well-being. He is kind to his children and can relate to all people in a popular manner and can seek out and help people. Gudiyatham Govindan was not only very popular in that area, but also had popular influence and respect. He was also famous in that area. Such a person had filed a nomination in the by-election of Gudiyatham. Another interesting piece of news is that Gudiyatham Govindan belongs to Dravidian Kazhagam. When Father Periyar heard that Gudiyatham Govindan was making a nomination in the elections, he immediately invited Gudiyatham Govindan to come and meet him. Gudiyatham Govindan also left and met Father Periyar. "Immediately withdraw your nomination," and said that our Kamarajar is going to stand there. Father Periyar took his own money to pay for Govindan's construction and sent to him to the village to see what work needs to be done for our Kamarajar to succeed. Comrades from Gudiyatham and the surrounding area gathered in large numbers, encamped at Gudiyatham and engaged day and night in campaigning for Kamaraj's victory. He won a huge victory in that election. Till then, he was called Kamaraj by the upper classes and was called Kamaraj by his father Periyar in that election. Now that Kamaraj has become the chief minister, will his father Periyar's educational dream come true? High officials are needed to plan for it in the government department. Father Periyar planned that too in advance, and N.T. Sundara Vadivel, who had grown up with him, had been placed already there as a secretary of the education department. Plans were put in place quickly. The clan education scheme introduced by Rajaji was cancelled, and the chief minister opened 18,000 schools in place of the 2,000 schools he had closed. That is why the Green Tamil was hailed by Periyar Kamarajar. It may be easy for you all to read about the struggle for communal education, but it took an armed revolution in the West, especially in countries like Russia, to implement it. But our father Periyar did this in Tamil Nadu without any harm and without causing even the slightest embarrassment to the Tamilians, with his tact, ingenuity and fighting spirit. Now tell me, can any one of you see one of your leaders like this? Is there anyone like that? That is why we say that Periyar is the one and only hero of youth forever in any century. Thank you.